My name is Connie Blau. I'm here with Roger Bindo, and we're from the Waunakee Historical Society. We're interviewing Ray Statz at Qual Line Fence. This is March 25th, 2026. So I'd like to ask you, Ray, the year you were born and a little information about your parents and their names.
I was born in 1935, and I was born in Waunakee, right pretty close to where the roundabout is now. My dad ran the gas station there. At that time, that was Wadham's, which was the Flying Red Horse, which years later,
What was the name of it? Wadham's?
Wadham's,
Wadham's, okay.
Waddams, I think, something like that. And but it was the Flying Red Horse, and so my dad ran that station. I think Billy Statz owned it, and then when I was 4 years old, then they decided to move to Cross Plains. He bought a farm in Cross Plains for $2,500. Not a good farm. He wanted to go to Sun Prairie. There was a good farm there for $10,000, but he couldn't get the backing. You know, it was right after the Depression, and so anyway, we ended up on a very poor farm in Cross Plains.
What was your parents' names?
Albert and Betty. Now, my mom was a Corcoran from Westport. And, you know, in those days, Westport was Irish and Waunakee was German. There was a lot of animosity between them two.
Tell me about your brothers and sisters.
Okay, so then they had ended up with having 14 kids, 12 boys and 2 girls. You don't want me to name them, do you? We've got a cup with all the names on in chronological order.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, tell me then, did you go to the military then? Were you in the military?
Oh yeah. My brother Harold and I joined the Army when the draft was inevitable, and so I was 19 and he was 18, and we went in on the same day. And so we did a basic training together, upper bunk, lower bunk. Then we went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for artillery training, and we were not that close, but we were in the same area. Then I got sent to Germany, and he got sent to Alaska. I got a way better part of that deal.
I meant to ask you, what's your first memory as a little kid? Most people have one first memory. Do you have a first memory of when you were a little kid, the first memory in your life?
Yeah, there was a lady in Waunakee, I don't know if she's still alive, Mary Bowles, and she was my caretaker for a while, and she used to tell me that I walked and ran at 9 months, and I would run under the table and get away from her. That part I don't remember, but I do remember having out in our yard, there was a white picket fence. I didn't know it was a picket fence at that time, but it was a white fence, and by the gate there was a slanted brace. So my brother and I, we could climb up that slanted brace and get over the fence, and then we'd go look in the station, and if my dad was taking a nap in his chair, we could steal a candy bar.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me, what was your very first job where you got paid money?
The first job I got paid for?
Yeah.
Oh, gee, out at Cross Plains, the neighbor did some grubbing, and so they hired some of us kids for $1 a day to pick up roots and stones and things in the field, but we got a good meal too, and $1 a day.
Pretty good. So when did you get involved in the fencing business? How old were you, and why the fencing business?
After the Army, well, before the Army, so we didn't work on the farm, our own farm much, because we had a lot of boys. So my dad hired us out, and we worked on a lot of farms, and then some of those were really big, better farms around, owned by doctors and lawyers, and around Waunakee area usually. And those, like when a doctor or banker owns a farm, and then the farmer says he needs a new tractor or something, well, is it really true? So they always had a middleman called Wisconsin Farm Service. And that was the guy that negotiated those terms. And so when I got out of the Army, then John Craig of Wisconsin Farm Service, he said he wanted me to come back and work on some of those farms. And I said, no, I'm married now. I'm going to go to college. And well, he says, what we really need on some of these farms, we need fences. Would you be interested in maybe contracting a fence or something? At that time, there was no farm fence contractors around here. And so him and I went to the University of Wisconsin in the ag department, and we looked at what they had for how to build a fence and stuff. And there really wasn't very much. I think I've written a lot more than what they had at that time. But that's how that started.
No kidding. And when did you decide to go on your own? What year was that approximately?
Well, there would have been 1956
And
in the fall.
did you have the name at that time? How did you come up with the name? I realize quality, but how did you come up with the name with Qual Line Fence?
It was Statz fencing at first,
Okay.
and then later, one of the partners, not a co-owner or anything, but just one of the guys involved thought that it'd be more professional if we'd have a name that didn't have the family name on it.
Sure.
Although, I think we could have kept it.
And where was the first building that you had your business in? Where did you operate out of before you built this building?
Well, before I built this building, originally I rented a place in Middleton, and then Larry Enders and I, we both wanted the village to have an industrial park. They always said they were gonna. And so they were slow about it. And so then Larry, he went and built where he is now, where Endress Manufacturing is. And then at that time, I moved into his old place. What is it? It's on Fish Street, I believe.
Yep.
Right here in Waunakee. And that had no outside storage. And so then I rented space from Jack Meffert, because most of our jobs were in Madison. And so we'd drive from Waunakee toward Madison and stop at the Meffert farm and pick up the wire and pipes, things that were in outside storage.
Sure.
And then it was, this building is now about, not this part, but that part is 50 to 55 years old when we built that. So I don't know what year that would make it.
Yeah. Who were some of your first employees?
Always my brothers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, my brother Joe. And over the years, it was a lot of the Statz boys.
Any memories of the people in town that, like the police chief or things like that took place in town that were kind of crazy?
First, there was one policeman, almost in the old days, one policeman, and George Manthe. And, well, he kept law and order pretty well.
Did you ever get a speeding ticket from him? Because you were in the car business too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And of course, what about Hank Rip and people like that? Do you remember when the shootout took place in town with Hank Rip?
I remember Hank Rip, and one time Middleton, Verona cop stopped me, and just because I had a racy-looking car, and so he radioed back to Waunakee, and he said, "So I got Ray Statz here. What kind of a guy is he?" And I figured Hank was my buddy. We talked and and everything. And Hank says over the radio, and I could hear him, "Watch it, he's a wild one."
How interesting. Tell me about people in town that were, did crazy things. I was thinking of Louis Statz and the revenue people, those type of stories. You ever hear stories about that when he made moonshine or anything like that?
I did, yeah, and I think my dad drove cars for Louis, and I think Louis owned that station, and I knew Louis. In fact, he wanted me to build on this shop on his corner out there.
Really?
Yeah, and anyway, he even wanted to back me, and I thought, well, why would he do that? And then I got to thinking, when my dad didn't get the money to go to Sun Prairie and buy that farm, he probably asked Louis, and maybe Louis felt a little bad about it, and he was willing to back me out here. One of the semi-famous people around here was Jerome Rip.
Oh, yes.
Now, and he's my first cousin, so my mother and his mother were sisters-in-law. And so one time, Irene Rip was out to our place in Cross Plains, and she said to my mom, that darn Jerome, he's got those foolish airplane machines, and I wish he would settle down and get married. Well, you know what he did? He went out to the Beekner farm at Cross Plains out there, and he picked his wife up from the air. And I think he even landed in the field there sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. So that foolish airplane did get him a wife.
Very interesting, very interesting. Any other fun stories about people in town that you know of years ago when you were young, or your friends or buddies or anything like that? Or what was some of the big celebrations they had years ago in town?
Well, when we had the 200-year, or was it 150-year celebration, and there was only one bank in town at that time, so there was a big 3-day celebration. And on Monday morning, Truex Field got a strange. They got a call. They said there's a strange flight pattern. Somebody programmed. And so anyway, Hank Rip went up to the airport, and a plane had landed on the airstrip, and then a car drove down the pavement, down the airstrip. So Hank drove down there too, and then they took off, and then Hank was chasing them through Waunakee, driving with one hand and shooting out the window with a pistol with the other hand.
Yes.
And they went out Highway 19 and they got out there to a corner. Now in those days, if the cops were chasing you, if you went on a gravel road, they're never going to catch you because they couldn't get very close.
Sure.
And so there was a gravel road there, and so that car took off down that gravel road. Well, Hank knew it was just an entrance to a gravel pit, so he stayed out by the road and called the county.
Oh,
and they were bank robbers.
Yes.
They were going to get that centennial money.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So you knew about the early celebrations. I was going to ask you, I should have earlier, about your memory of when the war ended, or the memories of war, whether it be the Korean War, when the World War II ended. You must have been 9, 10 years old, I would assume.
I was, yeah. I was in, I always had something with my lungs or something, and they sent me to kiddie camp. And years later, kiddie camp became a camp for retarded children. But when I was that age, it was for tuberculosis and lung problems. And it was behind Brennan's on University Avenue over there. So I was in kiddie camp when the war ended. And the cars were honking their horns and people shouting and everything. Then it was explained to us what happened. But yeah, and growing up, rationing was an issue for people in town, but really, when you're on a farm, it didn't bother that much. Maybe for sugar, but we had plenty of butter. The government made sure we got gas. We had tires. That was not a problem, but for people in town, it was. I could remember that. One time, this fella came out and had, in the summer, he had overshoes on, and my mom said, "Alfred, why have you got your overshoes on?" He said, "Well, my shoes are wore out and we don't have any stamps." And so she gave him shoe stamps, because with 14 kids, or however many we had at that time, we had plenty of shoe stamps. We only got one new pair of shoes a year. You were allowed 2.
Oh, goodness. Tell me, did you do your own butchering on the farm? Did your dad butcher his own meat for the beef or pigs?
Oh, yeah. We had plenty of meat. We had plenty of vegetables. What we didn't have was store-bought things. And, once in a while we might have wieners. And, boy, we'd look over the table, and before we started eating, how many do we each get?
How many bedrooms did you have in your house with 14 kids? Where did everybody sleep?
Well, we didn't have 14 kids at one time.
Okay.
But yeah, we doubled up a lot. In the bedroom that I slept in the same bed with my brother Harold, and then over on the side, one of the other kids was there. So yeah, there was 3 of us in that room. We only had about maybe 3 bedrooms in the house. Yeah, it was crowded.
One bathroom or an outhouse?
No bathroom for a long time. Yeah, we had an outhouse.
Tell me about your family, your children. How many children do you have, and where are they?
Well, I got 3 children now, but my oldest boy got killed in the 70s.
Oh, really?
On a farm accident. That was terrible.
Yes.
But now my oldest boy, Al, he's the president here. And the second boy, Jim, he works here. And my daughter, Linda, is living in Maine, married to a state trooper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough. So I was wondering, may I ask how your son died on the farm? A tractor rollover or something like that?
No, they were feeding the calves and spreading bedding, and he didn't have a fork, so he was grabbing straw with his hands, and one of the other kids had a fork and jabbed at the same pile at the same time.
Yeah, that always worried us so much when we were on the farm with a fork and kids, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we all had a lot of close calls, but yeah.
Very much so. So were you involved in Waunakee, the village service clubs and things like that right from the beginning, or?
Well, I was a JC, and the JCs have a rule that when you're 35 years old, you get an exhausted rooster button and you're gone. That's it. And so it had to be before I was 35 years old. And I was the only JC with a post hole digger. And so I put them original 4 signs up on the edge of town that said, "Welcome to the only Waunakee in the world."
Yes.
They were just a single post with a small sign, not like they are right now. And over the years, you know, Waunakee people have traveled. Nobody has successfully challenged that, right?
Right.
It must be true.
It must be true, yes. Tell me about all the work you did in town with the service clubs, all the things you did for Rotary, and all the different things you built for service clubs.
Yeah, well, then I joined Rotary when it started, and yeah, I've always had a lot of machinery and things, and so when the Rotary Club is doing the projects, I provide what I can, and like when we planted the trees on Main Street, and remember the town employees, there was only a couple of them at that time, they objected. Yes. And so it finally came down to, well, who do you work for? You work for the town, and the town wants these trees, so you work around them. So, well, now they're gone because the street got widened. But sure, we jackhammered and through the concrete and put in a lot of trees there. We used to put flower boxes along Main Street, and now professionals do it. We built, we built the fishing bridge. That was a project, and when I found out I could not walk on water, so then we had to do that in the wintertime. And
That's
we put
the bridge right on Division Street here.
No, at the canning factory pond.
Okay, the pond, okay.
Now it's called Rotary Walk.
Yes.
Yeah. And
But you did the bridge in the park here too, did you, on Woodland, on Division Street?
oh yeah, I built one bridge on Rotary Walk and 2 of them on Conservancy Park. And yeah.
Then the work you did for Rotary Lights, as far as help put the lights up and the arch and all that stuff.
Well, I always had the high working equipment, so yeah, we used that, and we still do as far as that goes. We still put some of it up. Yeah, and we put lights in the dog park, solar powered lights. Those are working real well.
Very much.
And one thing I remember, when I was like 10 years old, we got to go by Grandpa and Grandma in Westport for a week, each of us kids. And so Grandpa worked for the town, and he went along the roads and cut some brush and things like that. And then in about the middle of the afternoon, and our vehicle was a Model T truck. And so about in the middle of the afternoon, we would take the Model T and go up to Waunakee and go to Jenks's gas station. That was Grandpa's brother. That's where Quick Trip is now. And get a bottle of pop. And I would drive the Model T both ways.
How old?
10 years old. And a Model T is, Henry Ford made them pretty simple so that farmers could drive them.
Sure.
They're semi-automatic transmission. No foot feed, just a throttle.
Good enough.
I was wondering, so what are your memories of what did Waunakee look like back in the 50s? I remember as a kid, drugstores had soda fountains and ice cream. I don't know if they have them around here. What was it like? What did the town look like back at that time?
Well, when Jerome Ripp made a habit of taking all his nieces and nephews, I imagine, up for a plane ride. when they're, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I think when I went up with him, the population was like 354.
What year was that?
Well, I don't know. Well, we got to go back. I was a young kid, but yeah, it was a small town.
Dances over at the Hofbräu House or things like that?
Oh yeah, Schmitty's Hall, and then he had Springfield Corners. So he did a lot of driving back and forth on Highway 19.
Tell us about your Beck Spider.
Well, it's a good race car for a very short track because it doesn't have, it has a Volkswagen type engine, and so it doesn't have a lot of horsepower. But for a very short track, it's very competitive. And with me driving it, well, I bought that when I was 70 years old, so I was not in my prime anymore. The car is very good, and with my son Jim driving it for 10 years running at the Broadhead racetrack, nobody has ever beat that car. When I'm driving it, yeah, but
Did you actually race in it?
huh?
Did you actually race?
Oh yeah,
No.
yeah, I would race it, but I, like I say, Jim is fast and I'm half fast.
That sounds like a safe way to go.
Yeah. When did you get into the racing business? When did the idea ever come to you to buy a race car or get involved in racing?
Well, when I was about 30, I raced cars, drag racing cars, snowmobiles, motorcycles, and tractors. Felix had a lot of tractors, and I had more time than he did, so I drove his tractors a lot. And I said to myself, I can't do everything. Which one do I like the best? And, I kind of thought about it. Now, drag racing is a high-dollar sport. Tractor pulling is a high-dollar sport. Snowmobiles were becoming so popular that it was crowded. And so I decided on motorcycles. And so from age 30 to 50, I raced motorcycles. And I was pretty competitive at that. And then from 50 to 70, I didn't do so much, and I decided, I'll do sports car racing then.
Sure.
The other thing and you developed a method of putting posts in. You developed some special method for putting in fence posts?
I worked for 8 years, and I wrote 13 drafts, and Harriet would present it in a real nice, neat form to ASTM. Now, ASTM has their fingers in everything that you build or touch in America, and it extends to the world. And it's a 200-year organization, and you don't change their mind very easily. But I did get them to agree that this method of setting posts is equal or better than concrete. And so we don't pour concrete around fence posts. And I used to have to argue with engineers and architects. And now I don't argue so much. I just say it has an ASTM number, and to them, that's the Bible. If it's in ASTM, it's got to be true.
What's the trick of that? Why is that so special, and how did you realize that?
You want to see a picture?
I'm curious as can be what it looks like.
Yes.
Hey, you're telling about your modified car and making it into a pickup?
Well, you couldn't afford a new pickup or even a good truck in the very beginning, and it didn't seem that important. And then after that, I got a U.S. Post Office truck, and that was my truck for a long time. It was blue and white. They took the red stripe out of it before they sold them. It was a post office truck. So that was the truck. And then my first real truck was a brand new '63 Chevy pickup, $1,725 from Siemens Chevrolet in Waunakee. Remember when Siemens Chevrolet was here?
I don't know. I don't remember that at all.
Oh, it's across the road. It was across the road from Ray Statz.
And did they have brand new cars in the showroom?
Yes, yes, a real, yeah. And where the Quick Trip is, that was the Ford dealer. So they had the Chevy and the Ford across the road from each other. You take the trunk lid off and you throw things in like in a small pickup, and that's it. You don't change anything.
Just took the hood off, the
Trunk lid off.
Didn't you have to take the back seats out so you had space to get in?
I don't think we even took them out. I don't know.
Yeah, it worked at least. It worked, yes.
Well,
How interesting, how interesting. What is your race car here? What does something like that cost when you bought that?
40.
40,000, okay. And where is that now?
It's here
Oh, it is, okay.
in the trailer, a covered trailer.
Does somebody run it?
Oh yeah, we run it when we feel like it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but in 2017, I bought a brand new Ford race car. See, there's very few cars you can buy that are meant for racing.
Okay.
But Ford made an RS in 2017, 18, and 19, and it's meant to race. So you race it and you don't fix it. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually a little faster than the Porsche.
Yeah.
And it's air conditioned.
I remember going down to Milwaukee and I stopped there for some reason on the right-hand side, and all of a sudden I saw you there racing with the bikes. You know where that is on Milwaukee?
Yeah.
With those bikes. Now you did some real flying. You were in air when you come up over that hill, whatever that track is. I mean, you leave the ground for quite a distance. You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah. There was a 5 or 6 year period of time when, if you were motorcycle ice racing in southern Wisconsin or northern Illinois, the best you could hope for was third place, because Team Shiftless always gets first and second. And that was,
Why is that?
well, Ken Kreider and I knew how to make traction, he knew how to make power,
Okay.
and he was a real good rider and I was a pretty good rider. We'd get first and second.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
And we had automatic drive motorcycles, so we were called Team Shiftless.
Oh,
Team Shiftless.
That's-
Did you get paid for that when you won first place?
Oh, no.
You just got a trophy.
Yeah, just get recognition, that's all.
I forgot to ask too about you, Bob and Ray. You and this Bob guy invented things. How did that ever get going?
Never went over very good.
Okay.
We were dabbling. We made wine aerators, and
Did you make something for the garden also? Did you make garden things?
yeah, tomato cages, and but the best thing that we made was thawing plates. They were aluminum plates, good-looking ones, and I still use them now. Like if you take frozen fish out of a freezer and you're going to cook it for supper, you put it on the thawing plates, and about a half an hour it's thawed. Whereas if you put it in the refrigerator, it's going to take a half a day.
What was special about that plate?
Well, they're aluminum, and
Okay.
they draw the cold out of it, and so
How interesting.
that-
How interesting. Bob and Ray.
yeah, Bob and Ray in the USA.